Thank you for tuning in to Monalisa Late Night. Grab your glass and let's get started. But before we get there, please go to my website, www.monalisamonroe.com. We've got merchandise, we've got t-shirts, we've got cups, we've got totes, we've got everything you need. We've even got my book, Life After the Diagnosis. So, let's go ahead, grab your glass, bottoms up. Let's start talking.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Evenings with Monalisa, honey. Grab your glass because we got a lot to talk about, just like I was telling you this morning. Go to my website, www.monalisamonroe.com. We've got cups, we've got shirts, we've got it all, honey. And when you purchase something, you support the show. Like I was telling you guys this morning, the month of June is all about the fathers. Yes, I know Father's Day is just one day, but you know what? Monalisa Monroe celebrates the guys all month long. And like I said this morning, men during the day, they're at work. So I didn't have any guests during the day. But guess what? We got some guys tonight. Let me introduce you, or better yet, let them introduce themselves. What's going on, Maurice? Thanks for coming on. How are you, sir?
I'm good. A little bit tired.
Working. I know.
Yeah.
Y'all work hard for the money. Dun, dun,
yeah.
Dun. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. And we've got our other guest tonight. Hello, Mr. Elijah Cash. This is one of my boys, Maurice.
Really? Okay. I love the shirt, PlayStation shirt.
I appreciate it.
Well, we're gonna give you guys an opportunity to introduce yourselves. Let's go ahead and start with you, Maurice. Who are you, sir?
No one special. I'm me. My name's Maurice Gilliard. I work at the Chocolate Martini Bar, /manage and own. So if you guys haven't been, then definitely come out. I'm a proud father of one 7-year-old. And you know, that's pretty much me in a nutshell, I guess.
He's so modest. Oh my gosh. Elijah, can you introduce yourself, sir?
Before I introduce myself, number one, Mr. Maurice, owner, you are somebody special.
I'm telling you.
A pat on the back for that. So, owner, father, and supporter. You all of that already in a nutshell. So before I introduce myself.
Thank you, sir.
So as she kind of brings into that, I am Elijah Cash. This is my beautiful mother on the line here with us as well. I am a husband, a father of 2. I have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. They are everything. My family is everything. Everything I do is for them. I currently work in claims as an adjuster, but I'm looking to transition into being a owner myself, as far as getting into the wedding and event industry. So it's a lot of transitions, a lot of moving pieces, but in the midst of me having my children, I was able to accomplish certain goals I set out for myself and getting my master's degree. Pat on my back for that. And now it's just setting out plans and continuous goals in order to reach. So that's me in a nutshell, supporting my family, taking care of my family while also looking to continue to pursue goals set out.
Excellent. That's impressive.
Awesome sauce. Well, well, you know, this guy by me, this wonderful fella by me, I'm married to him, and he's an awesome stepdad. So baby, you want to introduce yourself?
Well, since I'm on the show this evening, good evening, everyone. guess, yes, stepdad, mentor. I have sons all over the world.
Yes, he does. He does.
Literally have sons all over the world. You know, if they were to say about a man having a lot of kids, I got a lot of sons. I got godsons. You know, I began ministering and mentoring to young men over 30 years ago, and in my mentoring, just in the very way that I spelt mentor, mentor is spelled mentor, but I spelled it for my program MEN-TOUR because I wanted the young men to know that as this mentor program, it was a tour, and it was from the time I met them until the time I leave here, that I will be in their lives, God willing, until death do us part. So, by the grace of God, young men, Bermuda, Trinidad, Texas.
I'm a mother from abroad.
And I have one special son, 9 years old, as well. But just glad to be here amongst other brothers in the realm of fatherhood and just being a man as well as a father to all of those that are or mentor. Just being a man, which is definitely needed in this day and time.
Yes.
The presence of men is definitely needed in this time. So thank Monalisa for having this show.
Yes. And so, in May, we celebrated the ladies, Mother's Day, whoop, whoop. So in June, I wanted to celebrate some awesome dads, and that's the reason why you guys are on here. And the whole month of June, we're going to have awesome men on the show. So we had some questions from the audience that I wanted to, give you guys an opportunity to answer. And of course, we're going to vibe a little bit. And in the evenings, our show is not, timed or anything. So if we last a little long, it's cool. And if we don't last past 30 minutes, it's cool. So we'll just go ahead and get started and feel our way through. Okay. So let's get this party started. Audience member says, how are you feeling about celebrating Father's Day? How y'all feeling about celebrating on Father's Day? And when is Father's Day? Isn't it next week?
Yes. Yep. Let me check the exact date.
See, that's a day that everybody even have to look back.
Yeah, look, everybody got to look at
when is Father's Day.
Right. Ain't even on the calendar nowhere.
The 19th.
It is Father's Day.
When is Father's Day?
The 19th.
But how y'all feeling about celebrating? Are y'all even going to celebrate?
Actually, it's week after next, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the 19th. The first word that comes to my mind is honored, of course. As men, which I'm sure we can all attest to, we rarely take a moment to stop and breathe, or stop and self-reflect, or stop and appreciate ourselves.
Right.
So to have such a day come upon in which we can stop and breathe and self-reflect and have appreciation for what we try to do as well, to be one half of the total picture of what it is to raise a child, is an honor. Doesn't mean all of us do stop and breathe. Me personally, I'm probably not going to stop. I'll be told to stop by my parents as well, and by a significant other as well. But it is an honor to have a day that does commemorate such, because it's a large toll. The word father is a heavy word.
It really is. That's a good point. Elijah, what you think?
I like the word honor. I think I would probably lean more towards blessed. Being in a situation where you can look at your seed in their eyes and know that you're doing everything in your power to raise them the right way, raise them to be God's children, raise them by the book as best you can. Having someone that can represent you and be an extension of yourself, far beyond your own years is a blessing.
Right.
And I believe the good book says, those of many children is a blessed man, right?
Mm-hmm.
So knowing that my daughter recently coming into the world and being able to experience us for the first time, that's also another blessing I can look back on. Be like, all right, this is my first Father's Day with her. For her to actually understand, like, this my daddy. They might just put a little hand on a piece of paper and say Happy Father's Day, but guess what? That means the world, it's honestly a blessing, because not everybody is either equipped, able, or willing to be in the position of being the father and understanding what it means to raise children. So I'm blessed.
That's true. You want to tap in on that?
Well, I guess I'm always the one that puts a philosophical spin on to it. But
a philosophical spin.
The Word of God says, "Give honor to where honor is due." Now, Mother's Day, we have no problem
honoring mommies,
irrespective of who, what mom is. And I think, in a sense, we men get that. So in case scenarios where say mom and dad are not together, there's some situations, men somewhat get that, but fathers can be dragged through the mud and so on and so forth. But the point I'm getting to is the honor part. That's where I'm getting to, the honor part.
Right.
You give honor to where honor is due. And I think with men, fathers, it's less of the honor and more of what you do. Right? But at the same token, I think even greater than what we do is our presence.
Yeah.
Because just think about the present. Using myself, my father. Just his presence in the room was just honorary. His presence in the room didn't have to say anything, didn't have to do anything. Just his presence in the room made a difference. How many times did my mother tell me to take out the trash? Okay, Gary, take out the trash. Okay, Mom, I'm gonna take it out. I'm gonna go around the corner, play some basketball. I'm gonna go play some baseball. Gary, did you take out the trash? I'm gonna get it. And then now, all the while, I'm cognizant that my father is not in the house. He hadn't got home from work yet. Mm-hmm. But I can hear the door shut. I can sense his presence in the home. And my mom was like, Gary, take the trash out.
Very true.
Step in fetching mode just now.
Yes,
yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yes, but just the fact of his presence, that's how honorable we are as men, as fathers, that our presence is so prominent and powerful that we have to make sure that we are present on all platforms of life, of children, in our communities, on our jobs. Our presence is so relevant that first question that God had to Adam was, where are you?
Yeah, where are you?
I miss your presence.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just have to be mindful as men that we can work hard. We're supposed to work hard. We're supposed to provide. We're supposed to protect. But in all of that, just make sure that at the same token, our presence is felt.
Well, it's funny because the audience is asking, is Father's Day even celebrated at your house? We're basically answering that. Yes, it's celebrated, it's honored, but, of course, what advice would you give young fathers in these times raising children?
Yeah, let's go back, it being celebrated. And that's interesting because how we are celebrated on Father's Day,
it's a cut short.
Is determined how we are celebrated throughout the year.
Well, okay, wait. Let me say this. I have to admit that fathers do not get the love that mothers get. I mean, the commercials start for mothers
Yeah.
in April.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So let me just be honest on that.
Well, that's because you all are emotional, and it's the commercialization of it and the economic.
Yeah. It's also, I would say certain industries probably capitalize on that, which causes the man to want to overdo. Yeah.
But
Mother's Day, well, you don't see Father's Day anything on TV right now.
Nothing,
but you know what? Let me say this to the business owners. It's y'all's fault too, because y'all own businesses. So y'all can have
hold on. You can't say it's our fault. The audience is what we're going to gear to, right? I know if I want to get somebody in the wedding venue, I ain't gonna talk to you, sir. I got to tell it to her. I got to tell it to you. Because at the end of the day, you can say no until you blue in the face. That woman said you're gonna be.
I mean, I got a pretty hard sale trying to sell chocolate dipped strawberries to a man. You know.
Exactly. This
not
man
tonight, you know.
Yeah. You walk into CVS or Walgreens and they got a roll full of roses and Happy Father's Day. You'll come back Monday.
Card section. Go look in the card section at any corner store and watch how the Father's Day section is big. Yeah. They still got Relations 2022 cards and Father's Day cards right there.
Yeah, basically.
But okay, so let me say this. What was the best gift you guys got for Father's Day? Ever.
Well, I ain't had that many. Hold on.
Yeah. That's true. I think for my son, for Father's Day, for me, it was always a personalized thing at his age. So typically a drawing or a drawing inside of a card or something, a collection of something, or he would wake up and bring me breakfast in bed with his little stovetop.
Oh.
Yeah, stuff like that. That's the sentimental thoughts of it. Yeah, at his age, of course.
That's so sweet.
Very nice.
Elijah put EJ to work.
No. So his I might have been his second. So I think this was probably around the time when he was able to understand it's Father's Day. We need to do something for Daddy. I'm gonna do something, whatever. At his daycare, they had a foot imprint that they paint their foot and put it on something. But they had the Walk With Me Daddy poem by Helen Bush, I think is who is by, and I loved it. It was right. And every I can't recite the whole poem for you right now because I don't know it off my head, but that was enough for me in the moment.
Yeah. Well, see, that's another thing. Men don't require a lot either.
Yeah. It's just the simplest of things.
Yeah. I got one of those footprints as well for my son, but I do recall one thing that I did for my dad, which is when I came of age. This was after I joined the military, so probably at least 21 years old. I had my first deployment and came back at that point. But after experiencing a deployed lifestyle and going into the military and then coming home, this was probably the first Father's Day that I actually gave real commemoration to my father. So I got a plaque. I made a plaque that you hang on the wall, and it had a metal piece on the inside, and it was engraved with a picture of my dad and I after I graduated basic training. And it was a scripture that I don't recall the entirety of the scripture, but it basically stated, raise a child in the way that he should go.
Right. And he'll never depart from the
that was engraved on it. But that was the moment that it clicked in my mind. I wasn't even a father. I was just a young man still new to the military, but it clicked in my mind at that point, the importance of how I was raised over the last 21 years to that point. So, I think Father's Day is something that also becomes more understood, especially if we're talking boys to their father or young men to their fathers. Boys to young men who become more mature men really understand the meaning of Father's Day. And then that's when that one-on-one time with your father, when you guys are of age or when you're of age, really sets in. It really clicks what was done over the times, or what it really meant to provide for me as a son, or be a defender for me as a son, and the discipline toward me as a son. So, yeah.
You know what? I'm glad you brought up your father, because you have a father too. So Elijah, can you remember the best gift you gave your dad?
A Cowboys jersey.
Man, that's the best you could do.
That's the ultimate.
Cowboys.
That's the ultimate
Cowboys.
for his dad. His dad
Man.
loves
Yep,
the Cowboys.
At least it could have been a Falcons jersey, man.
I got him a custom. It had his big dog on the back with his college basketball jersey number as the number on the jersey.
Oh wow!
That's nice.
He,
Honey,
Yeah.
he rarely cries. He cried when he got it. So
oh wow!
that'll
a
tell
big
you.
one. That's a big one. That's
Right.
a big one.
He's
Honey,
very
what about
simple. Don't same way.
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember. It's been so long.
You can't remember?
I mean, it's been a long time, but wow, man.
But what was the best gift you received then?
That's a good one.
It's just the simplest of things, man. It could be "I love you." It could just
You know,
be,
I'm thinking he gonna remember what I gave him, right?
It could be "I love you." What did you give me?
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
Well, see, that just go to show you.
Yeah, we got. But next question.
Yeah. Let's skip that. Good grief!
I can't even remember, man. What tie? What the blue tie, or the red tie, or the green tie?
You know what? Ties and underwear is
Yeah.
But for me though, I like dressing. I wear a lot of ties, so ties are appropriate for me. Give me a tie. But what was it?
Babe, we went and did this escapade for your father's.
Yeah.
We on the air.
Yeah. Okay, we have another question on the floor. Are you anything like your father in raising your children?
Everything.
Yes, because you have to look at it as foundational. Now, foundational can be good or bad, depending on everyone's walks of life, of course. So you could have a bad foundation that was represented to you, and you're a better father, or you could have a good foundation and you're emulating that toward your children as well. So, but for my particular upbringing, yes, foundational, certainly. Now, foundational and also not modernized, but continuing to keep up with the development of time. So, is my discipline structure quite the way that my father's was in 2022? Probably not.
You don't beat that tail.
I mean, I've emulated things my father's done to me, but now I have a larger repertoire of ways to try to enact discipline. So, but at the end of the day, if all that doesn't work, we still got the foundation, and that's what we go on zero. So, but yes, instrumental.
Instrumental. I love it. Elijah, are you anything like?
Anything, yes. Mostly, no. Only because, as he mentioned with the foundation, for those who don't know, my mother, who's on here, she pretty much raised me and my brothers all the way until I was about 12 or so. And that's when I kind of transitioned over into my father's house and his guidance and things of that such. So my understanding of how to raise your children came from my mother, right? And not under necessarily the normal circumstances, as she had 4 boys, and a lot of the times it seems as if she was raising us by herself, by herself. So there were moments where it was extremely cut and dry, right? You gonna do it, or you getting whooped. Like it was, or you need to have it clean, and that's that. Yeah, you need to have it. That's that. I'm very cut and dry like that as well with my children for the most part. But the things that I do take away from my dad I think it kind of came in at the right time because me being a preteen and a teenager under him, I was able to get that how to be a man and those kind of cookie cutter quotes, but they kind of stick with you a little bit. Like my dad would always say, if you fail to prepare, to be prepared to fail, right? And you'd be like, man, what are you talking about? But as you get older, you'd be like, okay, wait a minute, that kind of sticks a little bit, you know,
Right.
and always stay ready. Have to get ready, you know, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. You be like, Daddy, what are you talking? At 10, it don't make sense. But as you get older, 18 years old, you be like, man, hold on, I wasn't prepared for that. I should have been, you know. And those I take from him, and I infuse it with my foundation from my mother to help raise my kids the right way. I kind of give them a well balanced dose of it all, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, two things. One, what my mother said, and what my brother and I we talk about today. My mother said when she was on her, sick bed and everything, she said the question, her sister asked her a question, she said, I'm ready to leave, go on. And she said, what about the kids? Now we're grown kids. She said, hey, we call my dad Buggy. And she says, Buggy and I, we did our job. Okay. And she had told me, she said that when they married and had kids, that they made a pact. They believed that they both came from good stuff. So they made a pact that we're going to focus on giving our kids our good stuff, and all the other things will be added, and unfortunately we have parentings each generation. We're focusing on giving them what we didn't have,
Yes.
okay, opposed to what we did have. But my mother and father was like, we had good stuff, so we're going to focus on giving them what we did have, and what we didn't have will come, as a subsequent consequent to that. And so that's what they focus on: instilling values, instilling respect, those things, work ethics, and decency, and those things. Just being a good man, good boy, or at the age or whatever, truly preparing you for where we were going. And that scripture, even myself, it took on a different connotation when I grasped the concept, when I had my school for boys. And you're trying to impart, you're like, why these guys are not getting it? And then one night I went home and I read the scripture that says, train up a child in the way he should go. And when he is old, he will not depart. Mm-hmm. So it became more so of me preparing them for where they were going next in their life, even if it was the next day.
Right.
So I began to focus on talking to them. They were adolescents. I began talking to them the things that a teenager was going to face as a young man, a young teen, an older teen, a young 20. So as they started filtering into those different stages in life, they would call me and say like, hey, Monroe, man, Mr. Monroe, the very thing that you said, I'm faced with, and the amazing thing is I knew how to answer and respond to it. So that was critical to be able to grasp that. And then with my brother, we talk about, and I put it in context as the best parental book. Now, this is given all things equal. I was blessed and fortunate to have both of my parents in the home, great parents, both playing significant roles. So given all things equal to that, I've said that the best parental book is a good memory of how you were raised. Just remember how you were raised.
That's the only blueprint you got.
Just looking at, and again, this is given all things being equal in that sense, because I've also learned in mentoring young men that a lot of young men didn't have that father in the home, so they didn't have that to fall back on or to look to. Mm-hmm. So, but my brother and I, we say this right here: look how we turned out.
Right. And I was going to say, as a woman, raising boys, you just can't be a man. So I tell women all the time that I'm the father and the mother. No, you're not. No, you're
Can't
not.
be.
You can't be. It's some things that that boy is going to need, and he's going to need it from his father,
Mhm.
and that's just it. And so, when, like Elijah was saying, when he turned 12, I basically gave him to his father so he can be raised, because from 0 to about 8, the nurturing part is done, from a woman. And so that's the thing about raising children on your own as a woman. And if you're raising a boy, get real. It's you can't be both parents. You can't be a man and a woman. I don't care what you say.
But let me show you about that, the presence, the presence part of that man.
I'm being politically incorrect,
You
but I'm
could
just
teach some things, but you still physically do not have that presence. Your
yeah.
touch is different. So
Everything is
I
different.
never heard my father say the words "I love you," but when he would come into home, he would hit me in my chest. "What's up, homeboy?" Just his hand, the impact of his hand on my chest. Hey, hit the pat on his back was
That's
completely different. That was a different touch. That was a different feel. The tonation of his voice, his presence.
how you deal with each other.
Absolutely.
It's
It
different.
teaches you now how to go on the playground and be around other boys.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Right.
That they would say back in the day, "Don't come here crying."
Now, that's a whole different situation. Okay, so we have a comment. It takes maturity and love for a child, for a mother to do what you did. It also takes having a father willing to allow the mother to send their son to him. Yeah, I mean, it takes maturity, because a lot of women feel like this is my boy, this is my baby. No, he has a father.
You
And
know,
so
that's actually kind of something to bring up. Even again, father, the word father, the impact of father, the presence of a father, the presence of is important in our day and age as well. Co-parenting, even back in previously, co-parenting is also a big thing. So I'm actually just personally newly entering that realm, but it doesn't take away from my position as my son's father by any means, nor do I
that's right.
neglect or neglect the thought of, excuse me. So, but you're correct, it has to be the equal allowance between, it's co-parenting, not to just define it all the way down, but it's co-parenting, which is important. And even when that happens, effectively the father and the mother can still raise the child in the way that they should go.
Yes.
So.
Yes. And both, and then this is where the maturity comes in, because it's not about you, it's not about me, it's about the child. And I'm not just saying that because Elijah is a product of me and his father saying it's not about you and it's not about me. I did my part, now it's time to do your part. Now, the extreme, a lot of people can't, just offer their son up to the father to raise for the rest of, their adolescent years. But the visitation or the time that the father has in the son's life or in the daughter's life is crucial. It's important, and it takes maturity. That's just the bottom line. It takes maturity. So that brings me to my next question here. What advice would you give young fathers in these times raising children? Because, I was a single parent for 12 years, and I would have conversations with women, and it wasn't favorable, because I'd be like, you need to let that child spend some time with their fathers. What?
Yeah.
And so a lot of times it's hard for brothers to get that, that extra from the courts or from the mother or whatever the case may be. But how difficult is it to raise children as a man, whether you're single or married or whatever, in these times?
Yeah. It's you know, and I didn't raise children back in before 2000 or anything like that, so I can only speak of raising my son for the last 7 years. But from what I've seen and what I see now of the world to be how I grew up as well, the advice that I would give would like Mr. Gary said, to be present, remain present, have a presence. There's so many more things that are able to reach out and influence now.
That's right.
Reach out and influence, and it's direct. You know, when I was growing up, it wasn't really that direct. It was, you know, we had televisions in the house, but that was about the only thing that would reach out and influence.
Right.
Compared to where we're at now, between cell phones is the number one thing, laptops and advertising everywhere. Everything can reach out and influence a decision like that for a child nowadays.
That's right.
And in fact, a lot of young adults and children are navigating life currently through these spheres of influence more than they're listening to their parents now. So I mean, it was important to be present before. It remains important to be present today. It remains important to be openly communicative about topics that may have been a bit taboo or walked around before, but you might want to, and this is my personal opinion, you may want to kind of not beat it to the punch, but you may want to kind of understand and see signs in your child to be able to discuss before they start receiving their influence elsewhere.
Ooh, that's a good point. That's really good. That's really good, because we're battling with media, games. Oh my goodness. When we were growing up, you go out and play and you don't come back till the sun come down.
Yeah.
Well, not just media and games, real life. You know, real life. When I was coming up, the toxic community was in a specific area. So your parents said, I bet not catch you around there.
Right.
And so even the community, if you were caught over there, there was only one reason why you were there. What were you doing over there? What were you doing on this corner or here?
Right.
But the reality, as Mari stated now, is you cannot say don't go there, because there is no there.
It's everywhere.
It's right here.
There is literally right here.
It's
right
here.
Right.
Community
next to the child.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, the toxicity of life and the environments thereof is right there before them, so they can be familiar, not just learn about it, but be engaged in it through the forms and platforms of media. So you have to be present.
Yeah, to explain, to talk, to
well, just not explain, to talk,
to talk,
but you got to be a deflector.
Yeah,
you
that
gotta
too.
Be a protector.
That too. That too.
Just like our parents, as a deflector, kept us away from those things. Parents today, you got to keep those things. Try to keep those things as much as possible from getting into your kids' environment. Toxicity from getting into them.
Right.
As much as possible.
That's true. That's true. Elijah, you're quiet.
Before you get to Elijah, a good question is what is a good time frame to allow your child to have a cell phone, and then with the cell phone, Instagram, Facebook.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Hold that thought. Put a pin right there.
Mari's kind of smile.
Mari, I know. We go. Yeah. Elijah, go ahead and jump in.
So I've been kind of taking everything in. So my personal matter. Let me back up to the first question. It is scary times, right? It's I've always, when I was younger, I always to be children for as long as they can be children, right?
Yeah, that innocent.
Without the influence of that being so readily accessible, like how you mentioned, you have it at your fingertips. If you go into classrooms and middle schools and high schools, they have iPads, laptops, all this other stuff readily available for any kid. They find ways, because it's how children's brains work. They find ways to maneuver around the loopholes and access the things that they shouldn't be accessing, right?
Woo!
And to have your children keep that innocence for as long as possible, right? Have your children remain to be children. My recommendation and how I believe I'm going to approach the situation is I stay true to my foundation and not just scrap it and try to adjust to everything that's going on now, right?
Mm.
I actually talk with a lot of younger fathers because all of my friends that have children were all around the same age, you know? And it always pops up in the conversation. Well, I have to, you know, adjust to this community. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to do this. But I'm more so on the idea that you need to stay anchored to your true core beliefs, your
Right.
values, find to be true in your household, and then you make your adjustments from there. Whatever you feel needs to be tweaked, talked about, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah,
So
that's a good point.
that would be my recommendation for the fathers raising their children in today's time.
Yeah.
Now, as far as the cell phone goes, that's another. I didn't have my first cell phone until I was 16 years old. I was in high school, right?
Yeah.
I have a younger sister who had a cell phone when she was leaving elementary school.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because of security, because of I got cracks in it. I need to make sure that you're safe at all times. We now see in the news incidents in Uvalde, Texas, where these children are being targeted in elementary schools for no apparent reason, right?
Yeah.
You would want your child to be able to get a hold of you in a situation like that.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to take all of these instances in the world that we live in now and take that into effect when you have to decide whether to give them a phone, right? For security purposes, I don't mind my child probably having a phone around middle school, right? And I say middle school because when elementary rolls around, everybody gonna know me. They gonna see me. I'm there pick up. I'm there drop off. You don't have no after school care. It's me and you. Like, you know what I'm saying? I know everybody in the school. They're gonna know, right? So if anything pops off, 5 different people in there got my number. You know, so you're good. But now when you start talking about middle school, that's when the extracurricular activities, that's when band, that's when the clubs, that's when the friends and you potentially, hey, I want to stay tonight with this dude, whatever.
Oh.
Those things kind of pop off, right? So in those type of situations, I think that would be a little bit more appropriate versus giving a woman in elementary school.
Yeah. I have to totally agree with that because yeah, I totally agree with you on that. I think for security nowadays, I would give my child a phone. I really, really would, because if you listen to those tapes from that mass shooting, those little kids were calling 911. They were the ones saying there's a shooter, whatever. So I just think that we're not dealing with the same old elementary type children. You know, these children know how to work a phone better than grown people nowadays. So,
and they should.
I would definitely.
It occurred. Oh, your parents.
Exactly. They were calling their parents. They was calling the police. So I'm totally for that. I'm totally for that.
I would think because it's one thing that I've applied to my life. I've been on a number of platforms, and people have always asked, what is one thing that has contributed to success in life for you? And we all know that there's not one thing. But getting back with my father, grandfather, uncles, to my adult life right now, I've always sat at the feet of an older gentleman. Okay, as the Word of God puts it, there's safety in the counsel, in the volume of wise counsel. Okay, so there was always an older gentleman that I intentionally picked out to learn something, to hear something, because I'm 55. I've never been 55 and married before. I've never been 60 and married before. I've never been 60 or whatever and dealing with the issues of life at that juxtaposition in life as a man. So for me, I've always, at every phase and stage of life, getting with my father, realizing at the role that he played, that whether it was a pastor, and even today, we were just talking about this just the other day, about constantly refining yourself and growing yourself into every environment that I go in. I go into an environment and I'll look for that gentleman that I I can look at something and say, I want to enhance something about myself. And so that wise counsel, have a brother, an older gentleman
To talk.
that you can talk with
Yeah.
and get wise, sound advice from. And don't allow the world to create a narrative that nobody can't talk to you, right? Because even a drunk lying on the street
got a word
can give you wise advice, even if he say to you, son, don't drink. He can give you wise advice because of all the things you've learned in college, of all the things you've learned in a textbook. It can't teach you like life can teach you.
That's true.
And a gentleman, a man, and I don't like calling people bums or whatever, in that respect, but a guy, transit guy on the street, he has life experience under him. He may be able to give you some advice. So always be open to advice and the advice of life from an older gentleman who's been that way in that path. And then as it relates directly to your children, the word speaks of discipline promptly. And I'm not just talking about corporal punishment, but I'm saying that when you become a deflector and protector, address it the moment you see it. You have to address it, just like my granddaddy would say, what? The first time somebody show you who they are, a person show you who they are the first time they show you. Now, we believe that in life. We believe that when it comes to engaging and meeting with people, that a person show you who they are the first time they show you. Well, understand that to be true with your children. And the first time you see it, you better believe it. The first notion that comes to your mind, you better believe it and entertain it,
One thing I know for sure, two things for certain. Children by the age of 2 know right, wrong, yes, no.
With the video of Elijah's son.
Yeah.
Right?
My son,
little
EJ, I'm telling you. They said, EJ, do not eat the candy. Do not eat the candy. I'll be right back. EJ ate that candy, came back. Did you eat the candy?
No.
Yes.
So children know early.
And let me say this too. And for parents, get rid of the notion that your child would not lie. I know my child. He wouldn't lie to me. Your child is, in fact, you're going to be the first person that your child lies to, right? You're going to be the first person that your child lies to. Just know that. And then 2, they're going to continue to lie to you. And it's because of 2 reasons. It's not because they're bad or evil, but it's for 2 reasons. 1, they don't want to be disciplined, right? And then 2, no child wants to feel that their parents is upset with them or don't love them.
True.
Okay.
So they're going to lie for those 2 reasons.
Hold on. Okay, let me read this comment and then I will say a little something on that right there. Yes, this is a totally different time we live in. I worry about my grandson. That's one of the comments. I understand worrying about your children. That's real. Now, let me get to the conversation of lying. Okay. Children are going to tell lies. I get that part. But let me say this. We have an opportunity for your child to have a safe space. Okay. When I say that, I mean this because at 5 years old, I looked at my boys. I had 4 boys, and I told them.
See, that's just new age parenting.
No.
We didn't have no safe space.
No, hold on, because I got a witness right on the screen. When they were 5 years old, I said, if you tell me the truth, I will believe you totally. But if you lie to me, I will not believe nothing you say from here on out. I'm going to question you. But if you tell me the truth the first time, I'm going to believe you. Now, when my children would get in trouble, the teacher would be like, they did this, they did that. I look at my boys and I would say, did you do that? And they would say, yes. And I would punish them, but it wouldn't be as crucial if they would have sat there and lied, because they knew they had safe space. Now, Elijah, am I lying?
No, you are not. And I plan on implementing that same for my children.
And it happened when they were 5, not younger, not older, when they were 5, because at the age of 5, not only do they know the difference, they can act on it. So that's the reason why I said I will always believe you first if you tell me the truth. And it was all through high school. They could tell me now, they would tell me, and it would buckle me, but at least they told me the truth. So that's what I have to say about that. That's a seed for you.
I hope it works. I hope it works for you, Elijah.
What was that?
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say the other of it, and you have to make story. All had already God. My mother at the age of 5, right? Gary made his comment. I do believe I'm 100%. Children will lie, right? With my son now, my son knows how to tell the truth and tell a lie right now. But I'll pull him aside and I'll look at him in the face and say, "Are you lying?" But he gonna say yes, and it's the truth. The reason why is one, the fear of God, and two is because of the safe space, right? If your will lie to you if you allow that,
right?
Your children will take advantage of you being a friend before you being because it's easy to lie to your friends. That's second nature. Lie to your friends all the time. But with your parents, if you establish that boundary, establish that relationship in the beginning, you cut it off. And I'm a witness to it. Because with my mama, I knew I was gonna get a whoop. She called up there, found out for real that I was lying about something. Oh, it was gonna be 10 times worse. So let me go ahead and tell the truth now, and then we do right moving forward. You know what I'm saying? So I'll add that.
Well, I'm glad it worked for you, man, because I wasn't about to tell my daddy the truth.
See that? Lying early.
Man.
Look,
and listen, you, particularly the one where an adult in the community, the lady down the street, Miss Helen, told me to do something and I didn't do it. So she told my dad. My dad said, did Miss Helen tell you to do something and you didn't do it? I said, no. I couldn't.
But we go end. Look, we go end on this note right here. I'm gonna let you guys go. This is the last question that I have from the audience. It says, "What advice would you give young fathers in these days?"
Yeah, we had that.
We had that one. Yeah. Oh, here it is. No.
Had that one.
Oh, okay. Well, that was it. We answered all of them. Awesome. Thank you, guys. What did he say?
Some remarks. You gotta get some closing remarks.
Yeah.
Yes. So
don't have to run your show, mama. Come on now.
Closing remarks for fathers out there, whether they're young fathers, middle, or old. What advice would you give fathers out there right now? Let's start with my man Maurice.
Yes. Well, first off, thank you for having me on the show, of course. So, and I apologize for the late text messages because I just finished up some stuff and then jumped on. So, but thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me a platform to speak with you. Certainly an honor. Certainly appreciate it. If I were to give anything as a final thought of what I would tell other fathers, peers of mine, or seniors or younger, I would say from what I'm learning and what I've learned from my little walk so far is continue to try. Effort is everything. The moment you give up is a moment that you allowed yourself to do so. You're not forced to stop being a father. Now you can probably father from a distance. Definition of what a father is to each of us may change a little bit, but as long as you have that cognitive thought and you are connected spiritually, which has another conversation, with the intent to be a father, continuing to try is what I always say, because the moment you go absent on trying, regardless of the uphill battles that may be there, is a moment that you've given up on your child. So continue to try.
That's good. That's awesome. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Elijah, closing, sir.
Thank you, Will, for having me. You know, every time it's a blast. But in closing, I think the main thing that I can definitely say carried me thus far in being a father, being a husband, and being here is keeping God first. My relationship with Christ has grown over my fatherhood. So it's almost just correlating with one another. It's getting easier as I'm getting closer to him, you know. And obviously there's the times change, the world changes, the events keep occurring. But the one thing that doesn't change is my relationship with him, right? So when I said earlier to hold an anchor to your foundation, that's the anchor. You know what I'm saying? Having your heavenly father guide you through you being a physical father for children makes it 10. So that's what closing remarks advice, fathers.
Awesome. Gary, any closing remarks?
Well, my dad used to say, when you decide to be a man in your house, it's gonna be a lonely place. Okay, that word is so true that, and it's not. It has. I know we understand it in the context of that it's best for a man to dwell in the corner of a rooftop than in the White House with a contentious woman. It doesn't even have to be contentious, right? But when you have to make those tough decisions that are not based on feelings, emotions, or anything like that, where and putting it in real life context, where is my kid going to get these shoes or the latest game or go on this trip, or we're going to keep these lights on? You see what I mean? So you have to make that critical decision. And typically children by default are going to innately, love their mothers. Okay. So when you make those critical decisions, everybody's in the house on the other, that's
mad at you.
And then you're over here. But in that, my father would say, but you cannot be afraid to be a man. When you decide to be one in your home, it's going to be a lonely place at times, but you cannot be afraid to be a man. And to what Elijah stated about having Christ in your life, and what I've learned is that applies to all aspects of life, is the more that you are under control, the more that you have things in control. Okay, so that, and in fact, even as it relates to a wife, a girlfriend, a spouse, or whomever, in that respect or regard. And I always share to men as far as she won't follow me, or she won't leave me, or whatever. And I said, well, does your wife know that you love God more than you love her?
Ooh.
So that's a question to ask, because see,
that's a whole nother.
Yeah. Uh, even with your children, they know that you
Woo!
love. And why I say it begins with the wife, girlfriend, or whomever, because that actually substantiates and validates how much you love her. Because if this man loves God this much, he's committed to God this much, I know he's going to be committed to me. But that goes back to
Right.
being under control and then having things in your house under, in control. You can walk into a man's home, or you can just walk into a man's presence,
Mm.
okay, and just look around him and see how much under control he is, based on how much stillness is around his life. You
That's
see?
good, baby, because it's said that the woman sets the tone for the house. That's not true. The woman's countenance comes from the man that loves her. So,
She can set the tone, but he prepares the atmosphere.
uh,
Okay,
he always got something
he
good to say.
prepares the atmosphere.
Come on,
So, uh
I said, come
What'd you
on,
say?
Socrates. I hear you.
But
yeah,
I mean,
Lady, all of them,
but
man.
it's a lot of times, a woman is nowadays, that word submission is like cussing a woman out. And
Man.
I tell women all the time, submission is glorious, because you have to understand the submission is not to the man, it's to the God in the man. So if you're not in submission to Christ, then yeah, ain't nobody gonna be what you
Hold on. Now, I pledge a question because I've actually this question brought up times, right? So there's been a noticeable trend in African American males tending to go to other races for sanctuary and all these things, submission, right? Now, it has been said that it's the fault of the fathers that are raising these women because we're raising them to say never submit to man, right? Now,
Ooh.
I want to throw this out there for whoever may be on the airway listening to this. Okay, you have to understand that this is why it's important. Number one, to know God, to know His Word, and to know what the Bible speaks. Right? We should not be steering our children the wrong way. We should be telling our kids, "Don't you ever submit to no man. Ain't no man good enough for you. You the best thing to ever walk this earth." Let's calm it down for a second, because that's not what it says. That's not how the good book is preaching it. The man is the head of the household. The woman comes from the rib. Last time I checked, right?
That's
And then she
true.
was called a woman, right? Because she came from man, right? So we be able to understand women for the women that we're trying to grow. We need to understand what it takes for them to get to that point as well, right? Stop your children wrong information, telling them that they better than everybody under the sun, and they too good for everybody, because then they start to build that egotistical mindset, thinking that I can't submit, I can't be with someone of your stature. You don't make enough money, you don't have a nice enough car, you don't have a nice enough house. You need to be raising your kids the right way in order for them to get to that point to what you want to see at the end. That's all I'm gonna say on that. Go
I
ahead.
can I can definitely appreciate that. And dealing with, like you were saying, when you tell a little girl all her life that she's wonderful and she's great, there is a line between confidence and arrogance.
Right.
Women have to know that they're beautiful, yes. Women have to know that they're desirable, yes. But you also have to know that there is a line of order that God has set up. And the man is not just to be there for your pleasure, he's to cover you, and he is to honor you. And all at the same time, You have to be honorable. You have to be
Right.
respectable. You have to be lovable. How is a man supposed to treat you like a queen if you walking around here like you are in between? You have to know your role within yourself.
Right.
So on that note, I'm gonna have to, I gotta depart because I'm not trying to mess up my female-oriented audience as well.
Yeah.
I don't need to be caught on all this conversation right now. So, but thank you guys so much. Yeah, I got to get back to cleaning up.
All
It was
right.
nice meeting
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for tuning in to me. Thank you,
Please
Maurice.
have me again. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Take care.
But I'll say to what you were saying, Elijah, that people, I walk with a sense of confidence. I walk with people that said, "Man, you have a commanding presence, and you have a degree of confidence to the point where people can misinterpret it as this dude think he is or whatever."
Right.
But it actually comes from a humbling position.
Right.
And that is, of course, I had a bow massive of a mindset of a father, but he would always say to me, and put it in my Geechee, you ain't better than nobody. He says, nobody's better than you, but you ain't better than nobody. God made all of us great and equal.
Love it.
So when I understood that, it allowed me then to just walk with a degree of confidence, because guess what? You're not better than me. I'm not better than you. We are just two people in the room together.
Right.
You see, so I'm not afraid or intimidated by, and your presence.
Right.
I was never the biggest guy in sports, the fastest guy, but I was never afraid, in
Right.
that respect. Just in the physical sense of being, coming up in my time, stayed in fights, look for a fight, but it came from the fact that I was always, as I am even more so now, with on top of that physical presence, knowledge, as you allude to, you're not putting knowledge on top of what your father has given you. So now you walk with an even more commanding presence and just confidence and just who you are in life, what God has created you, who God has created you. So, so that's a good thing. I try to share with people that you're no better than anyone, and no one is better than you.
That's
Right.
good.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, we're going to end on that note. Thank you again for the questions, Elijah. Every time Elijah come on the show, he's thought provoking, which I appreciate.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Maurice was like, I can't mess with my women, folk that come to the restaurant.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Gotta know what's up out here. We gotta help them out.
You can't be running around here talking about you don't need one because hey, it is what it is. All right. So thank you. Tell Vanessa and the babies, hey, mwah, mwah, love you. Is she there?
She might be downstairs asleep.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you again for coming on. Mwah, love you.
Right. Love y'all.
All
Y'all
right,
take it
bye-bye.
easy.
All right, take it later, man.
Wow, what a show. I want to thank Maurice. I want to thank Elijah, my son, for coming on the Father's Day edition, or the Father's Month edition of the Evenings with Monalisa Monroe. I want to thank my hubby for always coming on, supporting me and loving on me. And wait a minute, did I say that? I meant supporting me and supporting the show.
Y'all almost got a reaction out of me just now. Start to do something. But her son was just on the show. I said, let me maintain myself.
But I got another comment that I wanted to thank y'all. Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Sylvia. Who else tuned in? Thank you, Annette. Thank you. Sylvia, a woman can only know this through Jesus Christ. The Eve syndrome runs strong in us, and Holy Spirit can do it. Yes, he can. I'm a witness. I was strong-minded and all that good stuff. And now I have came into my roof and I am good to go. Hallelujah.
I started acting fool just now. See, they came in. You got to put them
See, you can't be showing people that kind of stuff. It's domestic violence.
You're right.
Everybody can't play like that. So, okay, thank y'all for tuning in to Evenings with Monalisa. I love you guys. Thank you. Holla at your girl. Wait a minute before I go. I want you guys to go to my website, www.monalisamonroe.com. Purchase the book, purchase the merchandise. When you do, you support the show. Bye-bye.